All right, getting set up here. Might have this up a little bit too high, but don't want to miss out on getting into the room. You do a quick test of the speakers. Working. Okay, now I am going to launch live onto Facebook, which I am doing it on time. This is what happened one day. I didn't hit the live button. You have to hit the live button if you want to be live. I am now streaming live on Facebook. It is a Monday afternoon. So glad to be here. I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit because I don't hear the sound of my voice, but that's okay. Let's see. Got it. Now I'm streaming and I'm recording. Well, welcome to, what day is this? Tell me what day it is. Today is day 4 of the 30-day Realtor Refresh Masterclass. So glad to be here with you today. Some of you are on Zoom and some of you are on Facebook, and the rest of you will join me on the replay. Just as a short recap, I want to make sure that you are aware of how to navigate the private Facebook group. In the group, there is a tab at the very top, which has guides. That is where I am. Well, actually, let me back it up. It has guides and features are pinned to the top. Each day that I record, I'm doing a live Facebook as well as a Zoom. And with the Zooms, I'm recording and reposting because I'm finding that Facebook does not always retain my recordings from my lives. I don't know if that's a change in the policy, if you have to record them or not, but that's what I've noticed. Maybe some of you might see something different. Make sure you look at the previous posts. And as I said, in the group, you can look under guides. And by the way, on guides, you can also post your introduction. You can do your homework, all those sorts of things, because there are prizes for you. Prizes in which you can win by just doing your homework, just showing up. So glad to see you here. My name is Kathy Cross-Reese. I am your host, and I am taking you on this journey of Realtor Refresh because I've been in the business 28 years, almost 29 years now. And I've discovered, even though you might be seasoned and maybe you're not specifically a realtor, but you might be in the industry, associated business, there are times when things might get a little sluggish and you might just forget how to generate more business. And I'm here to help you with that and also teach some kingdom principles concerning the business. The 3 pillars that I really want to hone in on are ownership, stewardship, and generosity. Yesterday, I went over the parable of the tenants. The terrible tenants is what they were called, the terrible tenants. Who has terrible tenants? During the pandemic, there were a lot of landlords that had tenants that did not pay their rent. And take a pause right there. Think about the impact that that has on the owners of those properties. Maybe you were an owner of a property in which during the pandemic, and by the way, the pandemic isn't necessarily over because you don't have a mask on. There's still some residual things happening in terms of the pandemic. People are still contracting COVID. So let's be cautious and not reckless in how we handle the COVID issue. But in terms of tenants, when that particular parable, which is in Luke chapter 20, verses 9 through 19, Jesus is talking to the religious right about a principle of, again, ownership, stewardship, and generosity. And so in that, the particular owner, the representative, was and is God. The representative of the, let me see, get this right, the stewards are us, or could be your staff, could be someone on your team. And then there's the heir, because in the story, he talks about his servants got beat up, but he was going to send his son, and he figured they would respect him and not harm him. But you know how the story ends. He ends up giving up his life or losing his life in the process, because the people wanted to take what was the right of the son who was going to inherit everything, right? So in that story, it kind of has a cliffhanger, like most stories. It has a cliffhanger which says, basically, what would you do? And part of your homework, hi, Angel Brooks. Thank you. I am on Facebook. Thanks for letting me know, because sometimes I don't know if I'm on or not. It does say live on Facebook. However, when I look at the screen, my face is frozen. And I'm not frozen. I'm very animated, in case you had not noticed. So thank you for joining, doing a quick recap, and hoping that those of you who listened to the story yesterday, or maybe you didn't listen yesterday, you just heard it fresh today, if you would just put in the chat, what is your perspective on the story of the terrible tenants? Maybe you've had an experience with tenants that don't want to pay rent, just what the impact of the owners could be. And so today I'm going to spend probably 15 minutes going over a little bit of that and how we can use the idea of ownership to get more business. And then I'm going to spend the second half of this 30-minute session on Proverbs 4, because each day I want to impart some wisdom, receive some wisdom. And as I said yesterday, iron sharpens iron. So if you have some nuggets for me to share, put it in the chat, go live. This is a private Facebook group, so your videos stay within this group. And if you give me permission, I would put your videos on YouTube and all these other places. But for right now, since I'm the only one going live, I do have guests in the future. I have some future guests coming on, and I'm excited about that. If you would like to be a guest on any of these broadcasts that I am doing, just message me. I'll be happy to have you on, and we can work together, collaborate together on some good news that we can share with others about the kingdom and how it relates to real estate, because our lives are not compartmentalized. We do have different domains. Yes, we have health, we have fitness, we have our spirituality, we have our work, our business, we have our personal, we have all those different domains, but they are all related. They are all interconnected. We are not our finger, we are not our foot, we are a full body person. And so I want to make sure that we use the information that we have in our real estate business to really bridge the gap, which I found in kingdom entrepreneurship. There is a bridge, and that bridge is understanding the principles of the kingdom. So in that story, again, come on, Jeff Lewis. If you have some tidbit of information that you would like me to focus on, or some feedback from that story, I think that story is just, it comes to life when it comes to our business, because those of us who have been and are landlords, certainly understand the idea of having tenants, collecting rent, and sometimes the tenants don't want to pay. Sometimes the tenants can't pay. There are various circumstances in which that happens. And I gave a little bit of insight yesterday in case you missed that. I said, if you happen to be, I'm getting a Windows update, but I think I'm still live. This is crazy. I think I'm still live. Can you let me know if I am still live? I think I'm still live. It says live, I'm still live. I just keep getting these pop-ups. Yesterday, I gave some insight. If you are an owner and you have properties, or let's say you represent some clients that have properties, they're what you call absentee landlords. If they're absentee landlords and they suffered through the last 2 years during the pandemic, you can provide some hope to them. You can provide hope by giving them some tools to help them manage their situation. Well, one of those tools is it's called a re, I'll do the second one because I can't remember the exact word, but one is a loan modification. Okay, loan modification. And the other is a not a reconveyance, let's see if somebody knows in the chat. Not technical problems. Okay, thank you for letting me know. It's just I keep getting these pop-ups. So distraction, bird, squirrel. Okay, let me stay on track. There are, and I can't think of the exact word for it, but it's not a reconveyance, but what the mortgage company will do is they'll take all of the amount of arrearage and put it on the back of the mortgage. If you know what I'm talking about, share that with me. And I can't think of the word right now, but there are two options for those absentee owners that have suffered through, actually, there's three options. The other option is to help them sell it, right? So you can tell them about a loan modification if they want to keep it. You can tell them about, I think it's called a recourse. I can't think of the word. But what the mortgage company does is they take that debt and they put it on the back of the mortgage. So that gives that owner some freedom, some breather so that they don't have to catch up, right? And some mortgage companies are doing that because I will say, and I have specialized in foreclosures before, is that foreclosure is not something that banks and lenders want to have. It actually is a deficit to them to have a foreclosure. So if there's any way to avoid that, that's exactly what the mortgage company will do, avoid that. Okay, thank you, Karen, for telling me about the no technical issues. Appreciate that because I'm seeing all these pop-ups on the screen. And I think it's because the enemy wants to take this message away, but it's for you, it's for us, it's for the kingdom, it's for those of us who serve people and provide sales because, as I said, sales is service. So with the last couple of minutes before I switch over to Proverbs 4, I want to see if there's any questions about ownership when it pertains to the kingdom. In the story, we talked about how the owner sent all of these different people out to collect rent, right? But it wasn't really rent. It was a vineyard, right? So it was crops. They were collecting the produce, and the tenants really didn't want to pay. So they devised within themselves to beat up who would ever come and ultimately kill the son who came last, who was the heir, because they wanted to steal the heir's inheritance, right? Okay, and before I switch over to Proverbs, I wanted to, because I don't see any questions, I wanted to give you a quick tip on how you can capture more business, because most of us are looking in most areas of the country, we have a deficit when it comes to inventory. And so I have a saying, and I've heard it said before, that he who rules the listings rules the market. So you want to rule in your market in terms of listings. And one of the best ways to get listings is to go back in your field, right? Go back in your harvest where you've harvested before, where you've had past business, where you've sold properties before, where you've worked with sellers or buyers. Go back to your database, go back there and actually call, email, or text, right? Any of those methods. You just want to reach out to them, and you don't want to start out by seeking the business, right? You want to start out by just a friendly hello, how are you doing? Just checking in. It's been a while. How's and find some commonality that you have, whether it's, I don't know, you go to the same church, whether it's your kids go to the same school, your kids are on the same sports team, whatever that is, and you have not had that conversation, you want to link it back to something you have in common. And if you can't remember what that is, link it to another person you have in common. I had a call yesterday from a lady on LinkedIn who said, do you know XYZ? I said, no, I don't know XYZ. Well, do you know QYZ? I said, no, I don't know. And then she went on to the next one. I said, yes, I know that person. She said, oh, I see we're connected. And they told me about you. Thinking, okay, what is this? So I understood what she was doing because I've done it before, where you want to reach back but I haven't done it on the scope of a second degree or someone who's removed from your personal